welcome to the Let's Learn. If you're a CLAT aspirant or are thinking to prepare for CLAT, then Let's Learn is your perfect one-stop solution for your CLAT preparation. So today in Let's Learn, we will be learning about law of contracts for CLAT and other law entrance exams. Let's begin the video. In this video, we will learn about offer, acceptance and revocation and also competency to contracts. This video will be divided into three parts. The first part will include the first two topics. The second part will include third and fourth topics. The third part will include fifth and sixth topics. So let's begin with today's agenda. Before we skip on to the first topic, let me explain you what a contract is actually. So before I explain you what a contract is, I want to explain how a manual transmission car works. So this is a car, you assume. It has a manual gearbox which has five manual transmission, and then to run that car you need A, B and C's. So what are these A, B and C's? This is accelerator, B is brake and C is clutch. Without these three elements in your car, which is a 5 manual transmission or a 6 manual transmission vehicle, you cannot even move it an inch forward. Similarly to a car, I'd want to explain you what a contract is actually. Even contract has three main important things. The first thing is offer. The second thing is acceptance. And the third thing is lawful consideration. So these three ingredients make a contract. Offer plus acceptance plus lawful consideration. And today I will be explaining you these three terms and also who all can enter into contract, who all cannot enter into contract also. As we discussed in the index, the first two parts we'll be discussing today, the first two topics, and the other one subsequently in the other videos. So now let's jump to the first slide and I'll explain you what an offer is. Contracts under India are governed by Indian Contract Act 1872. Yes, you heard it right. Indian Contract Act has been established since the Britishers were ruling in India. So the law hasn't changed at all, and we still run Indian Contract Act, which is from the 1872. So under Indian Contract Act, offer is defined under section 2A. Remember, I want you to remember this section as this is very, very important, because under section 2A it is mentioned that what actually an offer is. So this is the legal definition under Indian Contract Act, and I'd not want you to go with the technical jargon, but just go through it, and I'll be sharing you the PDF of this notes at the end of the video in the description. Just click the link below and access the PDF. So what an offer or proposal means. So offer and proposal both are similar things. Offer is equals to proposal. And so in layman terms, talking about offer is when one person shows his willingness and to do something or to not do something in order to get other person's agreement. So here let's understand this definition of what an offer is through this example. If A says to B that I will sell my bike to you for 50,000. Now put you and your friends in this situation. You have Aman and Baman. Aman says to Baman that he is ready to sell his bike for 50,000 rupees, and then here Aman is making an offer to Baman. So let's see if the ingredients are satisfied or not. Aman shows his willingness to sell his bike. What does he want to do? He wants to sell his bike. And why is he saying Baman? Because he wants Baman to accept and he wants Baman to buy the bike. So this is what offer is in simple terms. Well, I want you to remember this section 2A definition. Read it by yourself, and it's in a very technical jargon. I want you to read it twice, thrice, since you understand really well. And that's it. Let's now again understand what an acceptance is. Well, I hope the first ingredient in our contract has been satisfied, which is the offer. When one person shows his willingness to do something or to not do something, and in order to obtain other person's consent or assent, is known as an offer. Now we will discuss the types of offer. Before I tell you what actually an acceptance is, I'd want to tell you what types of offers exist in the Indian Contract Act. First offer is express offer, which is verbally or in written form, that you're expressing something to the opposite party. So I'd want to ask you a very simple question. I'll just tell you this in the end of the video. The question for you today is the difference between an individual and a party. So many people say that this contract is given to this party and that contract is given to that party, or this contract was given to Aman, an individual. So I want you to give me the difference between individual and a party, and we'll discuss this in the last video about the answer. So express offer is when you verbally tell your friend that you want to do something, or you send him a message, or you write it in a document and express your offer, is known as express offer. And implied offer, this is mostly used for the ones who are dumb and deaf. So implied offer means simply by showing signs, by communicating through gestures. So let's say for example, you go to a stationery store and you say that you want a flare pen. So since you're dumb and deaf, so you give him a gestures that you want this pen. You point your finger up towards that rod and you say, I want this pen, and he understands it. So this is implied offer, which is actually communicated through gestures and sign language. So next one is specific offer. Specific offer is actually done to a really specific person. So let's say for example that A wants to sell his bike. He's free to sell it to everyone or anyone in the world, but he only wants to sell it to B. So if he only wants to sell it to B, then this offer is known as specific offer, and this specific offer is specifically designed for B. Okay, I hope you understood the first three things. And next one is the general offer. The general offer, so let's say for example, let's again take the example of A and B. So you have A here and you have B, not B over here. You have A. This man wants to sell his bike. This man wants to sell his bike for 1000 rupees, let's say for example. So he goes to OLX and posts his bike that he wants to sell it for 1000 rupees. Since OLX has many customers, more than 10k or more than 100k customers, he's offering it to the general public. Anyone who is willing to buy his bike can come and collect it from his residence. So this is the general offer. So the fifth thing is a counter offer. So counter offer is something that when again let's go with the A and B example. So we have A over here and he wants to sell his bike for 50,000 rupees to B, and B says, no man, I can't buy your bike for 50,000. Offer me your bike at 49,999. Funny, right? This is a counter offer made by B. I hope you understood this too. And then standing offer. Again, let's take the A and B example. So there is a person called A. He wants to sell B his bike for 50,000, and A will mention a specific condition in his contract where he says that B, if you don't accept this within 1 hour or within 1 day or within 1 month, this offer automatically gets cancelled. So standing offer is actually time bound offers which are for a specific period of time, and say after the time passes, I mean if the opposition party does not accept the contract, then it will automatically stand as cancelled. And then the next one is invitation to offer. Invitation to offer is generally seen in the supermarkets or shopping malls. So let's say for example, if you live in Hyderabad, you go to DSL mall, which is in Uppal. So you have to go to shopping over there, and you are not obliged to buy anything. You only buy it by your own will. No one can come and force you to buy their product. So I hope you have seen these stores over there, such as Starbucks and Louis Philippe, Louis Vuitton, any stores over there. So they display their clothing and their product through mannequins. They put their product on the mannequins and they display it to the public. They are inviting you to buy them. They are inviting you to buy their product, and it is not necessary for you to buy it. So invitation to offer is something where one person invites general public. He may sell it or not sell it to you. It is his choice, and accepting is also on your choice. He's just inviting you to join. He's just inviting you to purchase the product, and that's it, nothing else. So cross offer is something where both parties offer each other something. So cross offer is actually a very confusing term. Even if you are a law student, even if you are a 5th year law student, cross offer is very, very confusing to you. So cross offer is something, I'll explain it to you in very simple terms. It is not necessary that you understand it or it is going to come in your exam, but cross offer is something if A says that he wants to sell his bike to B for 50k rupees, and B also writes to A that he wants to buy his bike for 50,000 rupees. So this is a cross offer where both parties make each other an offer, but there is no acceptance. So that is what cross offer is. And so coming up to the second topic, acceptance. It is legally defined under section 2B in Indian Contract Act 1872, and this is the legal definition in red color, and I'll explain you what acceptance means in layman's terms. So acceptance means the person receiving the offer. So the person receiving the offer is known as the offeree. So the person giving the offer is known as the offerer. I'll write it over here. The person giving the offer. The person giving the offer is known as offerer. The person receiving the offer is known as offeree. So this is very simple. And when the offeree gives assent to the offer, so what does assent mean? Assent in simple terms means acceptance. So when the offeree accepts the offer by the offerer, then it becomes a promise. And the promise with a legal consideration such as exchange of money or exchange of money's worth forms as a contract. So here we have an example where A says to B that he will sell his laptop. A says to B that he will sell his laptop to B for 50,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees, my bad. He sells his laptop for 40,000 rupees. A is the offerer and B replies that he is willing to buy it for 40,000 rupees. He is the offeree. So here the legal consideration such as money is exchanged in exchange of a laptop. Hence B's reply is acceptance, and now it becomes a contract. I hope you understood what acceptance is. Let's move to a next slide and I'll explain you the communication of acceptance, the ways a person or the offeree could communicate his acceptance to the offerer. So coming up to the communication of acceptance, the first mode of communication is verbal acceptance, which is most commonly used. So verbal acceptance is daily used, where A says to B that he will sell his laptop for 40,000 rupees. No written contract, no nothing. He says he will sell his laptop to B for 40,000 rupees, and B in return pays 40,000 rupees and says okay. First he says okay, and then he pays the 40,000 rupees amount. Here the verbal acceptance mode of communication is completed. The second one is mode prescribed in the contract. The mode prescribed in the contract is a very commonly used communication of acceptance by official organizations, such as, let's say for example that you have got NLSIU Bangalore as your college in counseling. You have got NLSIU Bangalore, and in NLSIU Bangalore it sends you an offer letter. It sends you an offer letter to join their college. Since you have got a CLAT rank below 100, then you will be accepted into NLS. So they'll send you an offer letter where they state that if you pay 1 lakh rupees by 4th of June, then the offer will be assumed as accepted, and if you don't pay 1 lakh rupees by 4th of June, the offer stands out. And this is the mode of communication of acceptance through mode prescribed in the contract. So this is a offer, and where NLS asks you to pay 1 lakh rupees by 4th of June, and if you pay that, it is accepted. And a mode of communication in the form of post. This is very, very important. Even 5th year law students really get confused, and I'll explain it to you in layman's terms with a very wonderful example. So coming up to the acceptance of post, here I've taken a conversation between two famous brands in the world, which is H&M, which is Zara, and other one is H&M. Since we are all Gen Zs, I thought it would be easier for us to understand. So Zara says to H&M, or offers to H&M, that on 1st January 2026, remember the date please, says that Zara wants to sell its PS5 for 4,000 rupees. It's asking H&M to accept the offer. It's seeking its assent. So H&M posts. It writes a letter through post and sends it to H&M, and H&M posts the letter of acceptance on 3rd January 2026. So since the H&M has posted the letter in its area, the letter of acceptance in his area, and from then the contract is assumed accepted. And if Zara says on 3rd, after the letter gets posted, Zara says no, I don't want to sell. No, I don't want to sell my PS5. The contract is formed, and hence Zara cannot revoke. Zara can only revoke the contract, or Zara could only withdraw the contract within the period of time when the letter of acceptance has been posted. So if H&M posts the letter on 3rd January, Zara should use a very speedier form of communication, a very quick form of communication, where she says on 2nd January that I don't want to sell, I don't want this offer to happen. Then it would be termed as legal, or it would be termed as revoked. But since Zara has posted this on 3rd January, after the letter of acceptance has been posted by H&M, it is not a offer to revoke. Then the contract is formed, and Zara is obliged to sell the PS5 to H&M. Here you can see it in the blue text and the red text. And this is the postal rule. This is the legal definition. This is the legal definition of the postal rule. and I'd urge you to go through this and learn it thoroughly. So in the last slide about the postal rule, I've been majorly talking about revocation and revocation. So I'll be explaining you the revocation of offer in this slide, which the revocation also means withdrawal or taking back. So I say I revoke my words, we revoke this judgment, we revoke the thing which we said before, is what we call as withdrawal or taking back. So revocation of offer can be done in 6 types, and the first type is by notice of revocation. So if I say that, so we have an example over here where A says to B that he wants to sell his bike for 50,000 rupees, and A doesn't want to sell his bike again. He thinks that maybe I could sell it for 1 lakh or maybe 2, and he says that he sends a notice to B through mail, through a written agreement, or through a verbal mode of communication. He sends a notice to B that reject the offer, or I don't want to sell. So most of the contracts are not done like this, but they are done formally between companies. So to make you understand, I am just breaking it down into simple terms. So this is the notice of revocation, and companies also, let's say for example Ketan & Co sends a letter to Amarchand Mangaldas, that a notice of revocation, that we don't want to do this contract with you, we don't want to do this deal with you, etc. And second one is by lapse of time. Lapse of time, as I've told you about standing offer, where it is only for a specific period of time, and lapse of time is that, I'll explain to you again if it's fine. So you have offerer and an offeree. So offerer says to offeree that if you want to buy this good, send me 1 lakh by 4th of June, and offeree sends it on 5th June. Hence, due to the lapse of time, due to the passage of time, the offer automatically stands revoked. And third one, by the non-fulfillment of conditions, as we have seen here, as the mode prescribed in contract. So if the offeree has not accepted the offer through the conditions written in the contract, or by the non-fulfillment of conditions in the contract, the offer stands revoked. Fourth, by counter offer. So I'll give you an example again. A says to B that he wants to sell his car for 8 lakh rupees. So here B offers again to A. So B becomes the offerer and A becomes the offeree. So B says to A, no, I'll not buy it for 8 lakhs, but I'll buy it for 6 lakh rupees. So this is the counter offer, and the initial offer of 8 lakh remains cancelled. And the next one is by death or insanity. If A says to B that he wants to sell his car for 8 lakh rupees, and the very next day B passes away, B dies. So this initial offer remains cancelled. And also, or even if he passes away, or even if he becomes mad, even if he becomes mental, he becomes insane, then the contract automatically gets cancelled. So by death or insanity, I'll explain you about the competency of contract in my next slide. So the sixth one is subsequent illegality. I'm sorry, this is written as legality, it is illegality. So subsequent illegality means that during the term of the contract, if the offeree or the offerer involves in any illegal activity, such as here we got A and B. So either if A dies, if A murders someone or B murders someone, gets into a criminal activity or any illegal activity, the offer automatically gets revoked. That is it, my friends. And the next slide I'll be explaining you the last topic, the competency to contract. Let's just move towards it. So competency to contract is our last topic in our first part, and here are some special people who cannot enter into contract. So before that, I want you to tell you what competency means actually. Competency in simple terms means capacity or ability, eligibility to enter into contract. You can say any of these words. Anyone in this world can enter into contract except these 5 professional people, these 5 important people. That's a sarcastic one, don't take it in a literal way. So the first one is a minor kid, one who is below 18 years old. One who is below 18 years old cannot enter into contract. In marriage, it is different, where a man has to be 21 years old and a woman has to be 18 years old. So, in marriage, it is an exception. Anyone who is a minor cannot enter into a contract. The second guy, who is of unsound mind, who is insane, drunk, or intoxicated. One who is drunk, full of alcohol, one who is intoxicated, high on drugs, or one who is insane, mentally retarded, or mentally ill. The third person, who is very, very important, is enemy. Anyone, as we know that Pakistan is our enemy. Anyone from Pakistan cannot enter into a contract with India. So next one, the fourth one, is prisoner. A person who is in jail, a person who is acquitted of crime is not eligible, is not competent to enter into a contract. The fifth guy, insolvent. Insolvent in simple terms means bankrupt. One who is declared bankrupt, one who doesn't have any money, one who is declared bankrupt by the government is known as insolvent. He cannot enter into a contract. In the beginning of the video, I hope you remember I've asked you the difference between individual and a party. So I'll be telling you the difference between the individual and a party. Individual is a single person, as we all can read it over here. Only a single person. A contract entered with a single person is known as an individual. A party is where two or more people form a group, are collectively known as a party. I hope you understood everything in this video. I hope you like it. I hope you comment it. I hope you share it with your peers and learn and make learning more accessible. Thank you so much. Signing off. I am Tanush. Jai Hind. Jai Bharat.